the rule. Let's not get into politics. Okay, so I am going to mention this, and you probably get asked this all the time, Dave. So I am sorry for asking it. But the Mario 64 incident.
Oh my God!
Oh, Brian! That's it.
Oh, I can't believe I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah, it's like a band-aid. You just whip it off. It's fine.
Yeah. Does it disappoint you that people define your time on GamesMaster from that one episode or one moment? We don't hear because we remember this much more than the show.
I don't know. I watched the Big Barry episode and I heard what Ollie said. Yeah.
I'm glad. I can't help myself. It's one of those. I remember watching it on TV at the time and thinking, "Bloody hell, that's not gone well at all."
No. It does. I am disappointed a little bit that. I did a lot of TV shows. GamesMaster, Games World, The Net. I did stuff for Massive. The magazines I produced over 3,000 magazines. I did an awful lot for the games industry in those days. I broke a lot of barriers. I did a lot of things that have never happened since. Daily Mirror flying me up to promote products with Manchester United. Obviously, 50 Greatest Bachelors, Company Magazine, things like that. No one in the games industry has ever did that before, and no one's ever done it since. Yet I'll always be remembered for falling off a slide in a video game show. And I'll be remembered for that because of how I reacted, what appears to be so badly,
I think
because here in this picture, you hosted season 3, didn't you? A period of season 3. You hosted, you co-hosted, yeah.
And I presented a challenge, Tetsujin challenge, in season 6. I don't know why I presented that one. It's never been explained to me. Dominic wasn't there that day, and they asked me to present it, so I presented it. The guy who played all the kids on Virtua Fighter. Mm-hmm. So I've always claimed a little bit that I was also the third presenter of GamesMaster because nobody other than me ever presented sections of the show. But the Mario 64 incident. It was my reaction. What I think what disappoints me most about it is people to this day, because of the way it gets showed still, assume I was having a salty moment. I was sulking. I was upset about losing. And I'll say categorically now, I wasn't. When you play video games for a living, or you play as many video games as I did for as long as I did, you lose a lot of video games. You're going to. Everyone loses. So I didn't mind losing. I'm not a good loser, but I didn't mind losing. I was used to losing. What I minded to that day was being lied to and being called a cheat. I was there that day on a Saturday, on my day off. I was there free of charge. I didn't get paid for doing that day. My new employers, THQ, because I wasn't writing at the time, they didn't want me to do the show. So I went against their best wishes to do that show. And I was made, certain promises were made to me on that day. I was promised, all I wanted was a fair crack. I knew Dominic had it in for me at that time, and the quiz was perfect for him. I wanted a neutral game in the final, and I wanted the section of the show which was on specialist subjects. I wanted them to promise me that there wouldn't be any silly questions in there, that it would be reasonably doable, that it would be quite soft and easy to get, because I had a book deal in the pipeline. So I didn't want Dominic to make me look stupid on television and scupper my book deal. Now, I didn't ask for that to be personally for me. I just wanted to make sure the whole, everybody could have simple questions. I didn't mind. I just didn't want to be set up on the show. When I got there, I found Kirk, who's Dominic's best friend, showing everybody how to play the Mario slide. Which instantly said to me, this is not a neutral game, because one contestant can play it and the others can't. Then Dominic took me outside and accused me of cheating because of the specialist round. I've been accused since of having been given the answers and asking for the answers to the questions. Never happened. Absolute lie. Anybody who says that is lying, and they should prove it if it did happen, because it absolutely never happened. And so one thing just led to another, and I sat in there on the show, and Dominic kept giving Kirk correct maximum points for incorrect answers, and I could see what's happening. I could see that he was being massaged towards the final. In the end, I think in the final round, 2 questions on Earthworm Jim came up straight away, which was the game he was working on at the time. He even had the T-shirt on for the production company. So it was obvious to me that I was being set up. So when the final came along, I went to the producer and I said, right, you promised me a neutral game in the final. What are we going to play? Because Kurt's got to the final and it's not a neutral game. We've had this discussion. And he just went into a complete meltdown and said, oh, we're running over, the cameramen have got on extra time, the light men on extra time, we can't do it, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I'm not doing the final. Well, if you walk out now, you can't use the company car to get home or whatever. So I was stuck. And I had my girlfriend with me. And I was just totally ganged up. So I just went, fuck it, okay, I'll do it. Maybe I'll win. I've won before. So I went there, I sat down, and as soon as I sat down, I had the controller put in my hand. I didn't know what the controls did. The Nintendo 64 wasn't out until next February, so I hadn't played on it. The company I worked for, THQ, we weren't producing for the Nintendo 64, developing for it, so we didn't have the console, on import. So I'd never played it before. So I'm sat there, 3, 2, 1, go. I've never played the game. I've never played on the console. I don't know what I'm doing. So if you watch at the start of that challenge, my character's jumping all over the place. And I think Dominica said, "Oh, I was biding time. I was being clever. I was pushing buttons, trying to work out what jumped and if there was a break or some kind of thing on there to stop me going down." Then I went down the slide and fell off, which I think anyone would do first go on a game with inertia on a new machine, And that was that. So my face when I stand up from there is just.
Is it just like a build up?
Just fuck it.
The whole day, yeah.
Fuck it. Just get me out of here, Just
So
I had to stand there and then put up with all the rah-rah-rahing whilst Dominic and the sidemen all went to one side of the stage and I went to the other. And then I just left and went home, and that was the end of that. And,
what's going through your mind at this point?
At this point, probably you fucking cunts. fucking cunts.
Yeah.
Just get me out of here. Fucking cunts. Just pull in the cameras. Let me go home.
It's funny.
It was because I was lied to. It was because I wanted a fair crack, and I've seen it said since that. I was the only one taking it seriously, and blah blah blah. Yeah, I was. It's fucking GamesMaster. It's the best video games TV show on telly. This is a Christmas quiz between the games experts. We should be putting on a fucking show here, not pissing around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was serious, and it was serious to me because it was my reputation on the line, and all I wanted was a fair crack.
Yeah.
All I wanted was a new game. I'd been promised. I got told when Johnny asked me to be on the show that Psygnosis were producing a special area of the new Wipeout game for us to play, and I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Put me up against any of those three guys on a neutral game, I'd have wiped the floor with them probably. but by the time I got there on Mario 64, my head was gone. I'd been lied to. I called it cheat. I had my girlfriend with me. Just about everybody on the production seemed to be against me, and I just I was just gone. And then
the thing is, no one really talks about them now. It's all about you. So
exactly
look on the positive.
Look, it was the same. It was the same back then.
Yeah.
That's why they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that it's funny when you said that you had the controller like thrust into your hand, because me and Ryan were chatting earlier on just about crap, as you do, and so I can't remember why, because me, Ryan, and Ben all worked together, and I forget why we had an N64 at work, but there was an N64 at work for some reason.
No, we were in the pub and they had retro games.
That's it. We were in the pub. Yes, the Alexander, and
yes.
Yeah, one of the chaps he still is quite young, but he was very young when he joined our team. We threw an N64 controller in his hand so we could play some games, and he literally didn't know how to hold it. Now, given the fact that even today the controllers are, there's two analog sticks. That's a very standard thing. But to have an analog stick and a third handle on this controller, we just literally thrust it in his hand, and the first thing he did was kind of like hold it like a controller and try and like angle his thumb really far over to use the analog stick. And you just think
what people don't remember at the time, and it always sounds. The trouble is because of the profile the whole moment's got. I mean, it's the most viewed. Best remembered moment of gaming TV of the 90s, absolutely. And because of that, people just focus on the guy throwing a moody because he lost. But it sounds like an excuse, but what people forget is the Nintendo 64 controller at the time caused a huge sensation. It was completely unique.
Yeah.
No one was, there was a lot of fuss made about the Ultra 64, as it was called, controller. And, and you had an analog stick for the first time on a controller that was right in the middle of the controller, and you had a trigger underneath the analog stick. So did you hold the sides, or did you hold the one in the middle? I got on that game. I'm like, does the trigger do something? I've got shoulder buttons. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing on that game, and I felt straight off. Had I had 5-6 goes at it, no problem. You need any game with inertia. You always need to work out how far you're going to go, especially if you're controlling it with an analog stick with your thumb. It's very, very. And all of that's been lost in time. And even now, me saying it sounds like I'm making excuses, but that was what happened at the time, and I was just angry that I'd been lied to, and that my time on the show was ending like that, because it felt cowardly.
Yeah.
It felt cowardly that people used the Christmas special to boot one of the guys that had actually launched the show in the first place. It just all seemed wrong to me. I couldn't believe it, and the fact that I was there in my own time, not getting paid. I was doing them the favour being on the show. It's just
it's snaky.
arseholes, all of them.
If I'm totally honest, I mean, hearing about, because you don't, like you say, we as voyeurs of the show, we only get that's all we get. We just get what's in front of us, and you do sometimes forget. So as a kid, you just don't think about the background to what goes into making a TV show. You just absorb it because that's what you do. But now we're, a lot of us do have an interest in how things are made and this kind of thing. So to hear that around everything around that sort of moment building up, as you say, and the amount of effort that you've put into GamesMaster from the beginning, that moment has soured for me. I have to say, it's changed that the way I would probably skip that episode now. I have to say, when it comes up.
Watch that episode all the way through. You'll notice that, in the second round, I get my answer right. They put a fake ending on it, and then don't give me the points, even though my answer was right. So immediately I'm being, but no problem. Third round, Kirk gets a lot of questions wrong, but still gets given the correct points. The last question, I think his thing is video games things that begin with a P. What does the something button do on? I think it's the X button do on FIFA. Now, you got kick, through ball, pass. And hide ball. It's got to be pass. But even if you don't know the answer, what do you say? Pass.
Yeah. Pass,
the whole thing is being, whether it's for comedic value or not, the whole thing is being set up. And then of all the tens of thousands of questions you could ask in the final round, why did 2 Earthworm Jim questions come up first? Yeah. Because Kirk was working on Earthworm Jim at the time. It's all there, but unless you know the background, you don't really see what's happening. And you've got to remember, I'm sat on the other side of the studio, knowing what's happening, gradually seething under my bandana, So I know I'm getting set up. But I've also got my girlfriend with me, who I'd never taken to a production before, because there was a promise of a Christmas wrap party afterwards. And we came out expecting a really nice day and a Christmas special. And I got an absolute shitstorm that day. And if you watch it again, just remember that when you look at my face, and you'll see a guy who's just so fucked off and outnumbered. He just wants to be out of that studio.
Yeah, like I say, I think that just hearing the background of it it's changed the moment for me. It's no longer.
People ask me about it all the time. Of course they do, and I don't mind. But then I always read, because I've been trolled for 25 years for this stat, and then I read, oh, he's not over it yet. He's still not over it. It still bothers him, and it's because people keep asking me about it, and I've sworn to myself that I will always tell the full story if anybody asks about it, because I will not let the people involved get away with what they did that day, because what they did was cowardly, and it was I guess it was a kind of bullying, really. They deliberately tried to bring someone down, and very, very publicly. And I left the show at that point.
And did you then move to Games World at that point? Was that the point you moved to Games World?
I was already on Games World. I was doing Games World as well.
Okay.
So I was doing both. I was on Games World and GamesMaster. So So I left the show at that point. And they did one more season, but no TV shows ever survived my leaving.